story from that book. Stonewall Jackson, when he was in the midst of battle, something else, he was in complete calm. He would be on top of his horse, and there would be bullets flying all around him, and cannon fire exploding near him and whatnot. He was completely unaffected by it. There's a story where he's on his horse writing out orders to get to the courier, and a cannonball explodes almost right next to him, and everybody else jumps and ducks, and he just sits there on his horse and keeps writing. And his whole philosophy was that when it's my time to go, it'll be my time to go. He didn't worry. He just did what he was supposed to do, and he trusted completely in the Lord. And it's a great example for us today. That's how we should live. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the next moment brings. But if we learn to just trust God in all circumstances and not worry about things, then we're going to be better off and a much happier person if we do. So, all right. If you have your Bibles, turn to the book of Acts. We're going to continue our study through that book. And I'm torn with the idea yet. I'm not certain. I was just thinking about it this morning, but I'm considering when we're done with the book of Acts, I'm thinking about doing something different. Instead of going through a certain book, verse by verse, I'm thinking about starting a series. I'm going to call it the ABC series. And I'm just going to take like the letter A, and that we'll study angels with the letter A. And then when we get to the letter B, we'll study something else, and we'll go through the whole bit until we get all the way through. So that I think will be a lot of fun. It'll be different. We'll be able to cover a lot of really interesting topics. And the word opportunity to make your own way with the Lord if you need to, then I will close this out and we will begin. So let us and I pray that you would be glorified in yourself. But Paul preached Christ, such a magic that was going on within that faith. And because of that, and because of what's going on through Paul, it's going to lead into our next subject this morning. And so as we move on in Acts 19, we're going to see the response of the enemies of the gospel. And of course, that would be led by Satan himself. But Paul preached Christ so effectively that it caused major problems for the major idols. Power. One tactic he often uses is mob violence. And remember when I said to him that Timothy and Erastus, but he himself stayed in Asia for a time. And about that time there arose a great commotion about the way. For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, he called them together with the workers of similar occupation and said, "Men, you know that we have a problem." The whole city was filled with confusion and rushed into the theater with one accord. Absolute psychopathic madman. He's the one that would light Christians as torches and is starting to gain the attention of people, specifically the enemy of the gospel, who's none other. That's not going to do squat. What's going to make a difference? Silver things, and there's only one thing: he was preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. I cannot hammer that point home enough. That's what's going to make a difference, whether it be in an individual's life or in a nation's life. Kathy read 1 Chronicles 7:14 this morning, or maybe it was like, get better. Necessarily, they're going to get worse. Although it does tell us in 1 Thessalonians 5, I believe it is, well, the fact that everybody's saying peace and safety, and then sudden destruction comes. Okay? But what we got to remember, God is in control. God's going to solve the world's problems. What we do as individuals is yield to the Spirit and give the gospel as he leads. Remember what Jesus said, Matthew 28:18-20. And Jesus came and spoke to them, saying, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. There's your authority right there, Jesus Christ. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Teaching behind this rebellion is Satan himself. Here we see the angelic conflict spilling over into our world. That's what we see going on right here in Acts chapter 19. Now, I want to give you some points about mobs. They're right here in the scriptures. Okay? Number 1, verse 28. They were full of wrath and cried out, saying, great is Diana of the Ephesians. What is it that they'd heard? What he had just said in verse 27. How did he stir up the mob? He says, so not only is the trade of ours in danger of falling into the day, but that's what was happening here. The next thing, mob rule. The next thing is in Rome, allowed that city to function on its own with its own elected officials, etc. As long as they kept the peace, right? As long as you didn't stir the pot and everything was good, you could function as a free city. They just had to abide by the overarching Roman law. That was the idea. Now, this city clerk, he's a pretty smart guy. And there's 4 things he does, all related to law and order, okay? Number 1, in verse 35, he first appealed to the position of the Ephesians as the guardian of Artemis' temple and to her heaven-sent image. In other words, he said, hey, you guys are important. You Ephesians are important. The temple is important. Diana is important. This guy wasn't a believer. But remember, he's trying to quell the mob. He says in verse 35, and when the city clerk liberties because of it. That's the idea. This one is about the 1683. It's called Government by the Gospel, Plymouth, Massachusetts. Fairly divided the common cornfield into small tracts.